Okay, so I have, good morning, Armin. I have got all of my edits finished now, and in Mosaic Library I have sorted by label color, which has put all of the red labeled images at the top, and you can see them down here as well. So I would then select this one here, and select the one all the way up at the top by shift clicking to select all of them. And once I've done that, we now want to put them, get these out of the raw folder into the pre-process folder, which I showed you before. So if we go to export to DNG, DNG is a file format similar to RAW in that it still enables, well, it's very much like a RAW file. We can't export out as a RAW file, but we can export out as a DNG. So that will still allow us, because I haven't actually edited these, I haven't made any color adjustments on these images. All I've done is narrowed my selection of which images I want to keep. So we still want the complete flexibility to edit these photos in RAW with Lightroom. So DNG is the format to use. So Queensland Lamington Park pre-process, that's the folder that I want to select, and that will now export these files as DNG. Now you're not going to need to do this. I'd love to give you this component of the work as well, but I do need to know what images. I do need to tell you which images are going to be my final selection to go on the website, and which images you're going to be working on. So I really do need to get involved at this stage, stitching together panoramas, HDRs, making these final images, exporting them out as a DNG, and then telling you which images to color correct and bring into Photoshop. That's the point that you're going to be taking this on from. So I'll pause the video. It's going to take a while to export the 156 files as a DNG, and then we'll come back in a second. Okay, I'm back on the other side now of the export. It's brought up an Explorer window with the exported photos. You can actually see here that there are green ticks from iDrive, and the ones, some of them have got this blue icon on it. That means that they're yet to be uploaded to the cloud and synced. So that's interesting to see that. Now I'll close that. Now, so what we've done is we've exported to the pre-process folder. Now, when we go to the Lamington National Park folder and synchronize it, it'll start looking at the differences from the last time, and it's now picked up those 156 photos. So I'll go ahead and synchronize that now, and I will show you what it looks like on the other side once again. Okay, back on the other side, and I now have a pre-process folder which has all of those images as DNG files in it, and you'll notice that it still retains the information that tells you a few things about the images. And yeah, so this is the base. This is kind of the folder that you will be working from. And so I've already sent you the videos on how to edit these images. So now all I need to really do is tell you which images I want you to take from Lightroom out to Photoshop and to a final file. So how do we do that? So from pre-process, let's say that this file here was the image that you were going to be working on. So you would go into develop, you would make all of your setting changes as I showed you before, and then once you have done that, you will right click on the image and you will export with this option here. Before it was export to DNG, but this time for a JPEG we're going to be using these two, export and export with previous. So if I click on export, I'm now going to put it into the post-process folder. So post-process meaning that color correction and everything has been applied to the image, and we're now post-processing the photo in Lightroom. So if I go to there and click on post-process, now the options that you want, make sure that that is unticked. That is unticked if it's not already. Basically, as you see it on my screen, that's how it should be. If it's different, make it the same, and I'll tell you what else needs to be changed. So, yep, all like that. No, we don't want to resize the image. We don't want to sharpen it. Don't want metadata. Well, just leave that the way it is. Doesn't really matter. Don't watermark. Now, post-processing, you'll need to have open in Adobe Photoshop, whatever version of Photoshop you've got. This will save a couple of steps to have this as it is seen here. So, just to go back up, yeah, the Lamington post-process folder. Okay, so I'm exporting that file. So once this file is exported, this is now solidifying all of the Lightroom adjustments into a flat file, into a flat JPEG file. So we're moving away from now raw editing, where you have a lot of latitude with exposure, etc., into a flat file, and then from there we're going to be working in Photoshop. So now that that's exported, once again, I'm going to synchronize the folder. So it should show one file, synchronize that. Okay, now we have a post-process file, which is this one here. So you've gone ahead and made your color adjustments, and now we're going to be taking it into Photoshop. So we just go edit in Photoshop, and it's as simple as that. It will now, you want to edit the original file, so edit that, and there we go. There's the file ready for the edits that you know. Now that we're in here, I may give you my actions so you can load them in, and this will give you the various sizes. You can see the various sizes there that you're going to need, and I will also give you, you know how there's a scenic gems on the left and on the right. This action, I'll run through it now. If I go to, let's just say this is a 1093 by 598 image. So I'll click on play. And we'll let that run through. So just like in Lightroom with a preset, I have a lot of presets in Photoshop. I'm pretty sure I told you about presets. I'll give you mine, and I'm going to give you a couple of Illustrator files which get placed via this action, which is the Scenic Gem watermark on the left and the right. You'll see in a second. I'll give you those as well. You will need to relink the watermarks and map them to your hard drive, which isn't overly complicated. And then once you've done that, these actions will work, and they work quite well. They save a lot of work. They're not 100% exactly the same. I'm not that meticulous. You may want to add and modify these actions to get it exactly the way you like. If you're very fussy, I'll show you in a second. In the layers palette here, some of them might have the comprehensive suite of Photoshop color adjustment effects that you can use. Some of them don't, but overall, what all of these actions do is resize to the correct size, create a smart object of the image so that it can be resized without degradation. It's getting stuck on place at the moment. Oh, there we go. So what it's done now is it's added the watermark, the Scenic Gems watermark. It's now doing the Smart Sharpen, etc. So what else does it do? It converts it into a smart object. It will resize the image down to, I think, 10%. So then it just needs to be readjusted so that the cropping is correct. I've done as much as I can that automation will allow me to do, and then going from there, it's just a few tweaks after that. So I'll just pause the video and come back once this is done. Okay, so it's done now. So what we have is various filter effects all ready to go here, with some adjustments already made to them, some of them anyway. So the first thing I'm going to do is select the base layer, transform it, Control T, and then holding Shift and Alt and dragging so it's proportional, bringing it up so that it fills the frame. Okay, and yeah, that looks fine. I mean, you can obviously make this bigger and remove. I suppose the way that I look at cropping is how much visual impact does it have? Is there information that doesn't really add to the photo? So here, this tree adds to the photo. This tree, not so much. It's not the best looking. Down in this area here, there's not a lot happening there. It's more up in this area. This is the interesting area. So in this instance, perhaps I might bring it to there, and yeah, I don't know, maybe to be honest, maybe just like that with that little bit there, but this stick would need to go, so I might get rid of that stick. So anyway, double click on that. Yeah, so you can see that the watermark is there, which is here. So it's already had drop shadow applied to it. You can access these filter effects by right-clicking on a layer and going up to blending options, and then you'll find drop shadow in the blending options if you need to add a drop shadow at all.